So you have a white American chair force mutt who, in support of brown Muslims who would have fucking hanged him by the neck, he did this in front of an Israeli embassy. So truly the most pointless of all endeavors. It's a good day not to be set on fire. How about you, chat? This week, mostly bullshit. I'm gonna be real with you. Mostly bullshit. Started out with a retard setting himself on fire. And that's probably the highlight of it. I mean, I guess a little bit. People wanted me to play the footage of him like burning to death, and I don't think I'm gonna do that. They were gonna say, is he gonna play the censored version or the uncensored version? We'll know how base Josh really. I'm not gonna play a video. Okay, imagine a guy, and now imagine him on fire. Okay, that's what happened. Now imagine it in front of the Israeli embassy. I think the only remarkable thing about it is that the Israeli embassy guard like rushed out of his post and then pulled out a gun and pointed it at his charred corpse and said, "Don't move," which I imagine was quite easy to comply with because he was charred to a crisp. He chanted "Free Palestine" as he burned to death, and now I think most people are making fun of him. I don't know. It is kind of sad that someone died, chat. That is kind of sad usually. But he died. I mean, it's kind of weird because I consider not supporting Israel Based, but so do like hardcore Marxists because of imperialism or some shit. So in this case, anti-Semitism and communism have found common ground at last. I don't know. It's kind of the whole thing. Like, okay, so here I'm gonna start my comedy podcast off with the guy burning to death. Okay, what happened is that this guy who was a U.S. Air Force member was like a furry liberal who wanted to protest the occupation of the Gaza Strip, and he did so by setting himself on fire. So you have a white American chair force mutt who, in support of brown Muslims who would have fucking hanged him by the neck, would have probably set him on fire with his furry costume on, which would have been exceptionally painful. And then he did this in front of an Israeli embassy. Israel being a country known for not giving an absolute single solitary fuck about you or anything you know or love or care about in this entire world. So truly the most pointless of all endeavors. He sold his soul like 3 different times in this. He sold his soul originally to the federal government, and then he sold his soul to brown people of a foreign culture and who hate him, and then he sold his soul again to commit suicide in front of the Israelis who don't care that he's died. In fact, they're probably happy that he's dead. I think there's like a channel with like 300,000 subscribers that said something like, it's like Mossad commentary, and then the guy just says like, our enemies themselves, haha, and he points at this guy. So they think it's funny. They think it's really funny, because in the Talmud it says that Jesus is boiling Gehenna, which is like the Jew, because Jews are obsessed with pee pee poo poo, so Jewish hell is literally boiling in like septic tank water. So that's what they think about that. I think, oh, it's a good thing that he burned himself to death because he's gonna be burning forever in Gehenna now. Is the furry thing fake? I don't know. I don't really care. He's a chair force member, so if there's anybody that's gonna be a furry in the U.S. Air Force or in the military, it's gonna be a fucking Air Force guy. See that? Cool, excellent. Okay, so a guy burned. Check. This guy said he'll be remembered for generations, and then you have like a little Muslim boy saluting him. Even that he appears to be holding a weapon. Now, this is highly unrealistic. We all know that chair force members never touch a gun. In fact, most chair force members are afraid of guns. If you were to show them a gun, they'd be like, "Whoa, buddy, what's the need for this? We don't need weapons." Because they don't even kill people anymore. I think that like the Air Force used to be like what flew over Germany and shit, right? And like blew up Dresden and killed a bunch of civilians. But nowadays it's like they just do logistics, because the Navy has the Air Force that actually does anything. The Navy has the Air Force that actually like goes out and does shit, and then the Army has their own Air Force for like rescue missions and shit. I think they just do nothing. That was the Army Air Corps that flew over. Really? What? God, dude, we didn't need Space Force. Just make Air Force Space Force and just say like, okay, you guys don't do anything anyways. Just go up into space or whatever. Space Force is cool. I don't know. My grandmother, I guess she's dead. I can talk about this. She was a clerk in the military, and she worked for like basic training for, or not basic training, but for training for EOD, which is the explosive ordnance disposal people. And her job was kind of sad because she would intake all these young, like all these adrenaline seekers. All the people that go to the bomb disposal people are like crazy adrenaline junkies. So they would go in, and then like so many of them would die. I don't know if EOD is like the highest mortality rate, but so many of the people that she knew that she helped out getting enlisted into EOD were like exploded while in Afghanistan and Iraq. So that's kind of sad. But she told me that I was not allowed to join the military because she had seen so many people die who she personally helped enlist as a clerk for the EOD. And she told me that if I was going to join the military, the only the only branch of the military I was allowed to join was the Air Force because it has no mortality risk whatsoever, and it's just sitting at home in a seat. You don't do anything. So I know firsthand. I have firsthand familial information that the Air Force actually does literally fucking nothing and is the safest group to join if you just want to get benefits or whatever.